Welcome, Galactic Spirit, and we are on our journey into the 13 days of World Bridger. And World Bridger is a magical energy, as all of the 20 energies are on the wheel. And I am your hostess. I'm your Galactic Spirit Guide, Jami Lynn. And today we're going to talk about freeing yourself in order to live in conscious presence. And World Bridger is all about letting go of self-sabotage, karma, and really revealing your true nature. So the first thing we're going to talk about in today's broadcast is, are you willing? Are you willing to cross the bridge of transformation and live in conscious presence? I think that is the most important question that you have to ask yourself. In addition to, are you going to start at the beginning of the bridge, set the intention of what you want to accomplish at the end of the bridge so you can come out another person? And in essence, you're not coming out another person's, you are coming out the essential essence of yourself, without any control or trying to have control of any environmental issues. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and how we're going to transcend using the wonderful emoji, the emoji of World Bridger. Now, what are these emojis for? I'm calling them emojis. We're all familiar with smiley faces, frowny faces. And the ancient Mayans, on their stone antiquities, on their stone buildings that you can go see right now in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, they left all these images for us to find carved in stone as codes of enlightenment. And that's just a little snapshot of a lot of the energies that we are going to be dropping in, that I'm going to be sharing with you as we do each of the 20 energies. So today in World Bridger, to learn how to hold it for you so you can see it. Today in World Bridger, in this sharing today, we're going to talk about today's energy and the energy of the 13 days and how you can utilize them. I'm also going to tell you a profound story that just happened with me yesterday, where I had to surrender and relinquish control, and I actually walked on a bridge and set the intention and anchored the energy of World Bridger in my consciousness. So every time I am in an environmental situation, something beyond myself that I cannot control, and remember, the only thing that I control is the workings of my mind. So we're always involved in external circumstances. So I'm going to tell you a story about how I anchored these energies in. We're going to talk, we just briefly talked about where these energies come from. The ancient Mayans, and how these emojis were left for us. Why do I repeat myself, by the way? I repeat myself because you might not remember everything the first time I say it. So ultimately, I'm going to want to explain to you the purpose of why we're doing Galactic Spirit and why we're working it together. We're going to talk about where we have already been on the Galactic Wheel, which you're seeing there, and where we are going. And we're going to take a deep insight into World Bridger, how you can discover your innate self, how you can live in conscious presence, how you can let go of self-sabotage, judgment, limitations, your shoulds. I should do this. No, you shouldn't. You should be in conscious presence, or that I have to. We're going to get away from that stuff. And we're going to start thinking in terms of being in present consciousness to allow whatever is supposed to be brought forth, whatever expression of ourselves to come forth in every given time. How to build bridges and how to mend fences is what we are doing today. So stay tuned. What we're doing, we're going on a wonderful conscious ride here. Please know that I share this information with you. I do have little brief notes. I do follow a sort of an agenda, but I allow stream of consciousness to come through because that way I am in conscious presence, and whatever is supposed to come through me, I'm a vessel. I am connected to my galactic spirit, my heart of hearts, and my heart center as I am sharing this information with you and going into the field. I am going into the universal field of galactic consciousness. So that is what's being downloaded as I share these things with you. So here we go. We've already talked briefly about today's energy. I love World Bridger because it really does give you an opportunity to free up your thinking. And I can't wait to be sharing this little meditation of a real life experience that I had with you in a few minutes. But let us make sure we ground the purpose of why we work with our galactic spirit. Every one of these 20 energies that you see around the wheel are manifestations of our birthright. And all of them teach us lessons, as I mentioned before, to be able to to anchor these individual energies into our consciousness. So as we find ourselves in a place where we can call on one of these energies, we can drop into it on demand so we can shift our thinking. As I said before, practice makes progress. Doesn't make perfection. Every time you go around the wheel, every time you experience an environmental condition, and we're experiencing environmental conditions all the time. When we go to the grocery store, I'm being very mundane here. When we go to the grocery store, when we're stuck in traffic, when our husband or our children come in with dirty feet and on our just mop floor, when we burn the toast, whatever those, whenever we are in these mundane situations where we can say, oh, lighten up, be lighthearted. All of these energies help us be in conscious presence, discover our innate selves, and give us guides for transcending into fifth dimension. What's fifth dimension? It's seeing beyond the seen. It's being in our place of happiness. It is looking at the world in multidimensional ways where we can raise our vibration and raise our frequency. So we're living in a place of joy as compared to being being controlled by. And that's what World Bridge is about, releasing control. Being controlled by our environment, external forces. This is so we can make conscious choices, and being willing to make conscious choices about what bridge we want to cross every time we're confronted with a situation that is out of our control, which is pretty much everything. How are we looking at our life? Are we going with the flow with conscious intention? Because you can't just bobble around on the big ocean without any direction. Galactic Spirit gives you the direction, and this is I'm going to explain to you where we've been as an example of how to drop into these energies as you need them. Because here is where we have been. We start on the cycle of 20 with Dragon, and everything that works in a cycle. But if we've been paying attention to the first 13 days of Dragon, guess what we did? And here's the emoji. This is it's all about rediscovering your life purpose. It's all about rebirthing. It's all about Phoenix rising. It's all about generation. It's all about initiations into what you want to accomplish. So if you've paid attention to Dragon on the Dragon days, and this is how the fractals of this wheel works. If you pay attention at all to Dragon, every time that you go, I'm not liking the way things are going, you can actually drop into Dragon, the rebirthing energy, and say, I have the confidence to rebirth and change things, and setting the intention of how you want to change them. So far, we've also gone through Wizard in the Wheel. We're just catching up to how we got to World Bridgers. What we're doing, we're catching up on this wheel because we're going around the 20. We've gone through looking at our inner shaman, tapping into our Akash with enchanted receptivity. So by the time we get to World Bridger, where we are now, how can we say to ourselves, I've already looked beyond what I'm capable of seeing and accessed my inner shaman. I've accessed my true nature, so I can make willing choices to cross the bridge where we are now of limitation. We can release them. We can release self-sabotage. These are all fractals of the whole. We have also experienced hand. Hand is, we've done 13 days of hand. What is hand about? Inner knowing, healing, inner accomplishing, enhancing our wellness. It's recognizing our aha moments of synchronicity. Now, let me remind you of something. What is another purpose of the galactic spirit? And I'm going to teach you, we're going to do a meditation of how I used hand, an aha moment, when I was trying to share some world bridger information with you on Facebook Live, and it wouldn't let me because I didn't have enough bandwidth. My moon wasn't in the right house, and Jupiter wasn't aligning with Mars, and the satellite wasn't in the right position to allow my transmission, my broadcast, because my signal wasn't strong enough. This is technical issues. My signal was strong enough, and maybe my signal was strong enough to telepathically transmit this information to you, assuming you were tapped in at this moment. I just shared some secrets of galactic spirit and what it can do for you. You can telepathically communicate with people. That's one of the benefits of getting good at this. But my technical bandwidth, my internet wouldn't allow you to. And if I was paying attention, going back to where I was, if I was paying attention, it's upside down, if I was recognizing my intuitive knowing that I needed to surrender, look how these all work together, I wouldn't have recognized the synchronicity of what happened. And that's all going to come together when we do the meditation. I'll explain it. I'll actually let you see my intuitive knowing and how I translated into the lessons that I learned yesterday as an example for how you can learn the lessons of galactic spirit to recognize the synchronicities in your life when you're paying attention to the energies of the day. And that is the point. Let me repeat that. The point of galactic spirit is to be in conscious presence. So when you are recognizing a situation that is not in your best interest because of external circumstances, you can bring up one of these emojis into your consciousness, visualize it in your mind, knowing the energy of it, and to be able to transform because you're shifting your consciousness and you're not allowing the environment to control you. You're using the power of your mind and the gifts that the ancient Mayans gave to us in their galactic uncoded symbols. Take a deep breath in that. I said that really well. Remember, this is all stream of consciousness for me. So I really want to make sure you understand how all of these symbols work together. As an example, where we've also been before we got to World Bridger, before we got to where we are now, we did a journey around the sun. There you go, the sun. 13 days of enlightening consciousness. What did it feel like? How can you unify with Source? What is unifying with Source? It's not feeling separate. It's being part of the whole. So when we take sun energy and this enlightening connection and our innate inheritance of being part of the universal galactic field, we'll see how that influences our world bridger, not only on a macro perspective, the 13 days, but on the daily micro perspectives. I only have two hands. Day by day. And there on the bottom of the screen, you can get the daily insight. Each of these is a different day within our 13 days of ultimately surrendering. Does that make sense? Let's talk about, okay. Let's talk about how, we'll talk about that in 1 minute, but I want to show you exactly where we've been also to get to our World Bridger. We've also experienced 13 days macro, the bigger picture, 13 days, that's the macro, of Skywalker, to be able to have clear exploration, adventures into no time and no space. It's the void, it's the space. What does this mean? It means you're a space traveler. It means if you're paying attention to all the micro details of your day and you're getting caught up in your mind within them, you are not a clear channel to receive information. And keep in mind, we have videos on each one of them. As we go through the daily insights, they are available to you, and we're doing them one at a time. I'm just giving you little nuggets to show you how everything in the wheel of 20 innate birthrights, each of these galactic codes is part of your universal wholeness, and how they are all fractals of each other. Have a look. We are in World Bridger now, 13 days. It's hard to go backwards. Woo. 13 days, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and you can get all these as the days progress in the daily insights. And in essence, what we are doing is let me take this out of the condom so there's less glare. Let me get it focused for you. Day 1 of our World Bridger is here, where we magnetize, we draw the energies to us. Day number 2, day number 2, and you'll see these on the daily insights. Day number 2, we try to transcend duality. Instead of being separate, 2, we become one, and we're working our way up day by day into the day 13, where we start at the beginning and transcend how we are going to release suffering, how are we going to do the ultimate surrender, how we're going to release karma and self-sabotage, and how when we transcend the bridge, we walk to the end of the bridge, metaphorically on the first day, we ultimately learn how to better release surrender, release sabotage, release judgment, release ego, release our karma, stop carrying our baggage at the beginning of the bridge and have it dropped by the time we ascend to the end of the bridge, so we become fuller, more complete people without this dogma, without this drama, without all this baggage that we're dropping that we don't need to carry with us, where we can live our lives without the shoulds and the shouldn'ts and the I have to's. Whereas I want to. I am willing to take that jump. I am willing to walk the bridge of transformation. And that's a big energy too. The being willing energy. Let me see if I can find, yeah, here we go, right on top. How cool is that? Being willing is the energy of human. And if you'll look around the wheel, you can spot it. Let me see if I can point to it. Ooh. I'm not doing it very good. There it is. Well, almost. There's the human energy, and it's all about being willing. Not only being willing, but of your own free will. So as we go around these wheels, each of the energies is a fractal of each other, and each one of them has such a vital importance to you evolving yourself and you becoming a better human. This is where we've come from. This is where we're going. And every time we go around this wheel of consciousness, we get better at being human. The human of the new earth, the fifth dimensional human, not the human that walks around with their baggage and heartache and suffering and stress. It's the new human of being light and being enlightened. Why do we do Galactic Spirit? Galactic Spirit is all about being enlightened. So that's where we've come from. The Galactic Mayans, the ancient and Galactic Mayans are all in the same, gave us these energies to uncode into our consciousness. And as a reminder, they came from the stone carvings that are in their antiquities on their ancient buildings that you can go see right now if you want to. They're there. Go online. Look at Teotihuacan. Go look at Chichen Itza. Go look at Tulum. All these ancient glyphs are there that were given to us, that were gifted to us for this major time of transformation. Take a deep breath and just feel how lucky we are to have done that. And who's to say that you weren't there? I believe that you were. I believe that I was. Because if we're transcending time and space, which is the purpose of Galactic Spirit, and living in the now, in the place of conscious presence, we are everywhere all at the same time. And all information is available to us in our Akash. Where, yes, I can telepathically broadcast this information, and if you're dropping in and you're being quiet, you can tap in. And I can tap into you. And I can receive daily insights from you and learn, and we can learn from each other. That's the purpose of Galactic Spirit, because all of these energies are happening on the same day. We are all working through together, whether you're paying attention to these energies or not. We are all releasing suffering with building our new bridges right now and mending fences. And the more conscious you are about paying attention to the energy of the day with the daily insights, what's going to happen is you're going to see, I'm repeating myself on purpose, you're going to see the synchronicities that happened in your life, so that you will be able to anchor in the specific emoji of what happened to you during this cycle of transformation, of these 13 days of transformation, of these 13 days of ascension, to be able to call on this energy at a moment's notice when you need it. So you are in control of your mind, the only thing that you are in control of, which takes practice as compared to allowing your mind to run amok in stress and self-sabotage, in limitation, in any of these baggages of that our egoic mind wants to control something. Take a deep breath. Let me tell you about my story. Do I want to do that now? I'm going to do one thing before I do that. We were talking about macros and micros, right? Let me just do the little lesson, and then we'll do the meditation, which is really powerful. Really powerful because it's one I'm not making up. It's one that I experienced in real life that told a story of transformation because I paid attention to it. And it's a beautiful inward journey that I experienced on my outside world, which is the purpose of what we're doing in our Galactic Spirit. How do we learn from our circumstance and the energies of the day? You're going to see. But let's review micro and macro. We already talked about where we've come from and where we're going on the wheel. But these 13 days of transformation, and you will see these when you go to galacticspirit.com daily insights, day by day, a different video will be up with a 3-minute meditation on the actual energy of the day. But let's try to refresh this so you see how this is going. This is the macro energy. This is the overall energy of the 13 days. Releasing unwanted habits, freeing yourself from control, revealing your true nature, living in conscious presence, crossing the bridge into a new in order to live in conscious presence. And the first day, I don't know how to, I'm not sure you can see these here. Let me turn these images off for 1 second. There you go. We have more real estate. Okay, so if this is our 13 days, the first day is doubled. So it's setting the intention. The first day is setting the intention for the process of ultimately surrendering. Feel it in your body. Remember, we're traveling around the circle and we're traveling up the spiral. We're working on multi-dimensions. While we're going circularly, we're also going circularly upward. See that visual? Second day, we're going into our intuitive knowing. Remember, we talked about hand a little while ago. Hand is a day inside micro, macro, in our surrendering, in our releasing karma and suffering. So how are we using our intuitive knowing to express our accomplishments in ending our suffering? Day number 3, here's the star. Star is all about the third day, 3 star, electric star. It's seeing the beauty way, the art of expressing gratitude for our ultimate surrender. Day number 4, going with the flow, with the moon energy, with fluid transcendence in the world bridger. Day number 5, and now look at the numbers on the cards. By the way, look at we're not going to talk about the bars and the dots right now. I think it's going to be confusing. We'll do that another day, so stay tuned. Day number 5, dog energy. It's all about loving above all else and empowering consciousness. What does empower mean? Emotional power. The more you can engage each of the micros in the macros day by day with 1 3-minute video, the more you are going to cross this bridge of transcendence and letting go of your sabotage. How are you doing with it with love above all else, universal love and unconditional love? Day number 6, play with magic, play, and joy, spontaneous delight. Is it delightful? Yes. And how is it playful? To release self-sabotage. Make it fun. Be lighthearted. Life is too short. We already talked about human. How are we human is about being willing through free will, influencing wisdom. What am I doing today? I'm using my influence, my understanding of galactic spirit to influence you with ultimate surrender. But guess what? If in fact I did it fun, here's the day before with magic, play, and joy, and if I did it the day before with love, my influence, because I am releasing my ego, self-sabotage, releasing ego, and making love above all else more important, the influence comes from the universal galactic spiritual field. That's where all galactic spirit comes from. That's where every single energy on this wheel comes from. Let's finish going around the circle, okay? Of our bridging. Of our bridging. Day number 8, which was the last cycle. Day number 8, we were skywalkers with clear exploration, traveling through no space and no time. How do you visualize And we're going to do this. Visualize through space, walking down the bridge of transformation. We talked about our wizard. How are we going to do that with enhanced receptivity? How are we going to see the unseen with eagle beyond what we have known? Beyond what we have known is our limitation, is our judgment, is our self-sabotage. So when we engage eagle, seeing the broader view of bridging the gap, mending our internal fences, we see new when we come out the other side transformed. And how are we going to be brave to do it? Day number 11, with our warrior self, with our trust. With our trust. And how are we paying attention to the synchronicities that we're learning every day? And you'll see this in the meditation. I paid attention to my synchronicities, and that's how I was able to anchor these emoji into my consciousness. So whenever environment is out of my control, when your environment is out of your control and you don't like the way it's going, you can turn off that pattern in your brain and switch it to a place of love and light and making the best of it, making lemonade out of lemons, whatever the circumstance is. Maybe you'll have insight into trying something new. By the way, everybody, I'm trying this broadcast new because, remember the top of the puzzle? I had to let go because I was trying to do this broadcast, this offering, the sharing on World Bridger on releasing self-sabotage, attachment, environmental circumstance. My internet would not allow me to broadcast live. My bandwidth was too small. So I had to surrender. And instead of being upset about it, I took a journey across a bridge, which is going to be the meditation that I'm going to share with you as example. Last day of our 13 days as we are going around our wheel. Day number 1, day number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're all the fractals of the whole, fractals of raising our vibration, starting maybe not so good at releasing attachment, releasing karma, releasing limitation, freeing ourselves from control. But as we practice, we make progress and we ascend. Again, we not only go around the wheel, we spiral up the wheel. So the wheel is moving in 2 directions, around and up. And what's our purpose of life? Why were we born? We were born to be a better person tomorrow than we were today, to be a more evolved than we were today, to be a better human than we were yesterday. And what are the lessons that we learned to be better? And what better means for each of us individually is for us to go around the wheel and figure out what that is and what we want to do with our very precious time. But the biggest thing, the biggest choice that we can make in our lives, and this is the ultimate goal, and that's to be happy. That's to be happy. And to set the example for others in that happiness, so we can become the 5th dimensional beam of light, where we can actually activate those dormant aspects of our DNA, which are the beings of light, where we are not so physically dense. Where we can pay attention to our synchronicities, where we can telepathically communicate, where we can see the unseen, where all of these 20 birthrights become integrated and encoded in our consciousness. That's galactic spirit, and that's why it's so exciting. Every single one of these 20 energies is a lifetime of study, but we can get them in a heartbeat. We can get them in an instant, because when we practice the energies of the day on the energies of the day with the galactic insights, these energies drop in as we need them at a moment's notice. And when we train our brain, practice makes progress, we train our brain, we can step out of our environment, not be mad when we're sitting in a traffic jam, not be mad when the lady at the grocery store has to do a price check, when our kids come home from dirty feet, whatever it is, when our internet is down, when we have a deadline that we for some unknown circumstance, we can't accomplish it, even though we tell our clients, of course. And if you're loving on your clients and it's coming from a place of heart and it's coming from all these magnificent energies that we are practicing, they're with us. So they get it. They understand our intentions. They understand our love. They understand our intentions and our beauty within. And it's all good. Let's take a deep breath. Let me share a meditation, a real life circumstance that happened to me yesterday. Okay. So this is real. Yeah. I was frustrated. I had an external circumstance that was beyond my control. I could not share World Bridger with you because my internet wasn't working, and maybe this is a better way. By the way, sometimes everything happens for a reason, and everything happens for a lesson if you're paying attention to it. So I decided, I had no choice. I could be upset. I could let this fester in my head. I could be all stressed out. No, World Bridger was here to teach me a lesson. Oh, let me get rid of judgment. Okay, so here I'm going, oh, what are people going to think? Oh, they're going to judge me. Oh, am I not good enough? I couldn't broadcast. Oh, my ego is fractured. Oh, I'm so upset. Oh, I'm going to carry this baggage from here to eternity. Oh, it's so heavy. I'm so dense. I went for a walk. Take a walk with me. I walked through a field knowing that the end of the field was this beautiful lake. True story. And the air was thick in potential rain. And with an open heart and an open mind, let's walk. And we were seeing the shimmer in the air of the density of the air, because it was filled with moisture. And we could see that. And we could feel the moisture on our feet as we walk through the high grass to get to the bridge, the real life bridge, that was taking us to the lake. As I reached the threshold of the bridge, I saw the lake in the distance. It was a long bridge, small, little 2-person walkway bridge, lovely. But it was about 50 yards, maybe half of a football field. So there was a journey of transformation to get from the threshold of the bridge all the way to the lake. How do you anchor one of these energies? You set the intention. Whether it's in your mind's eye or you're living in reality, it doesn't matter. But it's really cool to see it in real life and anchor the energy in, to see the experience as a metaphor for the actual daily insights, because then you've attached emotion to it where you really have that energy sink in and it's yours forever. By the way, when you elevate your emotion, either in a meditation or in real life, and set it to a memory, a symbol of consciousness, such as the symbol of World Bridger, every time you need to bridge a world because you're not really happy with the world you're in, full of stress, you can make lemons out of lemonade. You make it lemonade out of lemons. You can transcend that. So here we go. We step on the bridge, setting the intention that we're going to release all imitation, all judgment, all self-sabotage. And I started walking on the bridge. And the first beautiful part of the bridge was a canopy of mangroves all along the sides of me. Remember, the bridge is only maybe 36 inches wide. It's not wide enough for two people shoulder to shoulder. Encircled in mangroves all the way to the top, with just a little peek of the sky coming through. And I walked through the womb. I walked through the safety of those mangroves, metaphorically of my conscious mind. So I had plenty of time to set the intentions of releasing self-sabotage by the time I got to the other side. Release baggage. Become free of emotional control. Crossing the bridge into new transformational habits of mental thinking. I'm safe in the womb. But I looked over the edge of the bridge and I saw all the muck. Sludge. That's where the water was kind of stagnant in the mangroves. So I brought in the metaphor from Hindu and Buddhist tradition. Out of the muck comes this beautiful lotus blossom. The metaphor for enlightenment in those magnificent traditions. Anchored it in the belly of the womb, surrounded by these mangroves and the different colors of the greens that surrounded me. How am I becoming the lotus out of the muck into the light as I moved toward where the mangrove stopped and the pond started, where it was an open expanse of light? Stepped out of the mangroves. But before I did, the bridge is old. And there was a few boards that were missing. So there was an obstacle. Ah, there's an obstacle. I need to conquer this obstacle with sure footing. I can conquer this obstacle. Maybe I brought in, let me show you fractals. Maybe I brought in my warrior because I've experienced it before. Maybe I dropped in this emoji with bravery and trust, and knowing that I will conquer obstacles with courageous determination. Look how they're all fractals of each other. Don't you want to live your life with courageous determination? Express yourself. I'm now into the light. I stepped over the obstacle, the missing boards and shaky boards. I'm now at the threshold of where we started to be open and expansive, and I looked over the edge. I'm not at the end yet. And you started seeing little wave action, very small little pond, but the wind was blowing. Remember, it was going to rain, and the environment was heavy with the moisture of the air, which if you looked carefully, if you turned on your fifth dimensional glasses, you could see the shimmer of the moisture in the air. Looking over at the edge, I saw these little patterns. There was layers and layers of patterns moving inward and outward. Go ahead and see them. What is in those patterns? Behaviors that aren't working. And the layers of them moving in and out of your consciousness. Habits. How is it attached to ego? How is it attached to self-sabotage? How is it attached to karma and judgment? And I have to do this, and I have to, and I should, and oh, if this certain circumstance happens, I'm going to react as compared to respond with consciousness. Drop into that. How do you start removing those waves of self-sabotage and start layering them with surrender? Or go around the wheel. How do you start layering those waves with your life purpose? With your inner shaman and enhanced receptivity? How do you start layering them with intuitive knowing and inner healing and your connection to source and your inner self, and connecting your galactic spirit with the field of the galactic spirit and love above all else? And how do you connect? How do those become your waves of building your new bridges and mending the fences of your spiritual consciousness as compared to, and relearning all of those patterns that no longer serve you? Breathe. Walk on the bridge. What are the fractals of the daily insights that support your transformation of releasing suffering and self-sabotage? So by the time you go around the circle and ascend the spiral from day 1 to day 13, when you are in an environmental situation beyond your control, you make lemonade. You look at it in a different way. How can you use this circumstance to not only anchor the energy in your consciousness for when you need it the next time, but how are you going to shift it right now with emotional intention to be different today as compared to react in a way that's not of service? How are you going to use your galactic spiritual emojis with elevated and intensified and intentional emotion to be happy. You'll get your stuff done. And you'll get it done with your pure heart and in pure joy. So whatever you're putting out in the world, whether it's making a meal for your loved ones, whether it's planting your garden, whether it's working on a project, whether it's writing a contract, you're doing it with the wind in your sails, with your galactic spirit supporting you from a place of happiness as compared to suffering. Breathe into that. And let's get back on our bridge. And let's walk now to the end of the bridge, where you can turn around and you can see where you've come, your past. You've seen the wobbly pieces of wood. You've conquered, transcending over the pieces that didn't exist with courageous determination. You've moved out of the womb of this beautiful arbor surrounding you. You've moved out of the muck. You've seen those behavioral patterns, what you didn't like. Recognize them, acknowledge them, love them. Know that they are your shadow self. And you've replaced them. You've transcended them with fractals of galactic spirit and enlightening connection. You've transcended the bridge, and now you're surrounded by this beautiful, free-flowing bottle of water. And as the air was full of this moisture, a gentle rain started happening, making sure you're washing these energies of transformation over you. Breathe. And as you get really good at bringing these energies in, as that water was falling over you, you could bring in the moon energy, which is all about fluid transcendence. Where you're going, where you're coming from, it doesn't matter. They're all part of the whole. So while we're building bridges and mending fences, we can use the others. So the little water rain came with fluid transcendence just to make sure I anchored, or you now are anchoring in this beautiful visualization that really happened to me yesterday. You're anchoring your ability to make lemonade out of lemons. You're anchoring your ability to transform external environment and reacting to it into a place that is going to be of service of you, and you're anchoring the synchronicity of the moment, so you'll be able to call of the moment with intensified emotion, because that's what's going to anchor the energy in. You can do affirmations all day long, all day long, all day long. You can do meditations all day long, all day long, all day long. But if you don't attach an emotion to it and the feeling behind it, you'll forget it really soon. You won't forget the emotional response of how you feel in a synchronicity and seeing the truth and the honesty and the transformational power of these galactic energies, because they're happening to you. And they're transforming you, minute by minute and day by day with the daily insights. At the end of the bridge, feel the little trickle of rain. It's warm, so you're not cold. Feel the wind blowing. See the ripples get a little bit more intensified because they come from spirit. And at that moment, realize that you can drop into this space anytime you want. Anytime you want to free yourself from any self-sabotage, whenever you want to free yourself from any aspect of what you think you want to control, because you can't. You just think you do. And in the knowing, remember what we learned with Han, intuitive knowing, with the knowing that you can't control anything other than the way you perceive situation. Your joy about being alive and being conscious and being happy is the only thing you have control over. Nothing having to do with your external baggage, anything that happened to you in the past. You want to release karma. I love Cryon. He just says, okay, fine, release it, be done. It's a little easier said than done because our minds aren't trained, because we're going to start replaying that old message. No. You've now stand at the end of the bridge. You've bridged worlds between your ability to react and now you're responding through love and light. Breathe into that. And know at the end of the bridge, you set the intention on your walk, your bridge walk, your world bridging walk. You've set the intention. So when you walk back on the bridge by which you came, it's a new energetic bridge. You're not taking that self-sabotage with you. You're not taking that suffering with you. No, you're taking freedom of thought. Your ability to feel what it feels like and the initiation of transforming your energy from being in a yuck place, in the muck, and being that beautiful lotus. That's it. Breathe in. Know that that's what these 13 days are all about. Last up, next cycle around the wheel is the energy of storm. I love each one of these energies because each one teaches us a new lesson. And every time we go around the wheel, it deepens that lesson we learned the time before. So not only, remember I told you, not only are we going around the cycle of 20, every time we go around the cycle of 20, the lessons become more transformational. So beautiful, galactic spirits. I want to say do the work, but do the play. Get your heart chakra engaged. Get your third eye engaged, your pineal gland. Because these two chakras are the ones that are going to be the transformers. We've talked about these in other videos. We'll talk about them again. But for now, mend fences. Be a world bridger. It is your world that you can transform. from my heart to yours in Lakesh.